Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because we're going to unpack the actual science and the proven strategies behind building unshakable self-control and achieving your most ambitious long-term goals. If you've ever felt like you're just kind of spinning your wheels or maybe relying way too much on those fleeting bursts of motivation, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to break down the triad of mental toughness, drawing from elite athletes, brilliant psychologists, and honestly, some of the toughest military minds on the planet. Okay, let's dive right into this. Think of today as a step-by-step masterclass. We're starting with the foundational psychology of a winner's mindset. Then we'll compare fixed versus growth mentalities. From there, we move directly into execution with discipline equals freedom, followed by mastering delayed gratification, and finally, we'll tie the whole shebang together with identity-based habits. Let's get to it. All right, Section 1, the winner's mindset. Now, it's so easy to look at a champion and think, wow, they were just born with this mythical talent, right? But actually, it's about a very specific set of mental skills. Former elite NCAA gymnast and entrepreneur Jason Shen suggests that silencing your inner doubt sometimes requires giving yourself permission to be a little bit optimistically delusional, or delulu, as you might hear nowadays. You see, when your highly rational mind is screaming that the competition is stiffer or more qualified, a touch of optimistic delusion completely removes the anxiety that cripples your performance. It actually gives you the space to reach your absolute highest potential. Shen points to a fascinating 2007 study of Olympic champions to map out these core traits. We're talking about an unshakable self-belief that you can punch through literally any obstacle in your way, and, incredibly, actually learning to love the pressure of competition. It's all about total, uncompromising commitment and the ability to bounce back fast when you inevitably mess up. So ask yourself right now, be honest, when you look at your own goals, do you approach them with this kind of unyielding conviction? Do you lean into the pressure or do you kind of shrink from it? Moving on to Section 2, fixed versus growth. That unyielding conviction we were just talking about, it actually stems directly from our foundational belief systems about our own abilities. This concept was pioneered by Dr. Carol Dweck, and it brilliantly illustrates a mechanical difference in how we view the brain. A growth mindset visualizes the brain as a dynamic network, basically a muscle that can be wired and upgraded. People with this mentality view intelligence and talent as totally malleable traits. They aren't locked in at birth. You can literally cultivate them through hard effort and smart strategies. Let's really contrast the inner dialogue going on here. A fixed mindset whispers, listen, I'm either good at it or I'm not. It treats every single task as a rigid pass or fail measurement of innate intelligence. And because of that, a fixed mindset is the ultimate demotivator. It makes people terrified to even try, because to them, failing means they're fundamentally flawed. But then look at the growth mindset dialogue. I can learn anything I want to. The focus completely shifts away from proving how smart you are to how much persistent effort you're willing to put in. Because in a growth mindset, the whole narrative around failure flips completely. Sure, failure can still be incredibly painful. We're human, right? But it absolutely does not define you. It's just success in progress. It is simply a problem to be faced, dealt with, and learned from. It's a welcome challenge on your path to mastery. Let's move to Section 3, discipline equals freedom. We're shifting gears into execution now, and we're starting with a blunt reality check from retired Navy SEAL Commander Jocko Willink. Here it is. Motivation is a fickle, unreliable myth. It really is. The hard truth is that roughly 40% of our daily actions are driven entirely by programmed habits, not conscious choices. Think about that. 40%. That means if your habits are weak, and if you're constantly waiting around for motivation to suddenly strike you, nearly half of your life is operating on a faulty, unpredictable autopilot. So the crucial point here is understanding what discipline actually means. Look at the root of the word itself. It stems from the meaning to teach, not to punish. Discipline is not about torturing yourself. It's the cold, hard engine of executing your habits precisely as intended, specifically to conserve your willpower. It's the self-control you gain by setting rules for yourself and, crucially, actually obeying them. Let's rapid fire through Jocko's blueprint for achieving true autonomy. First, the 4:30 a.m. rule. Win the morning to win the day. Waking up early gives you a massive psychological edge over your own laziness. Next, realize that motivation is just a feeling. It comes and goes, so do not wait for it. When things go sideways, practice detachment. Don't get emotional, get tactical. When you're unsure what to do, always default to action, because procrastination thrives in that gray area between thought and action. And finally, sugar is the enemy. Physical discipline starts in the kitchen. If you can't control your own physical vessel, you certainly can't control your life. True freedom, whether financial, physical, or mental, only comes from a rigid structure of self-imposed rules. Now for Section 4, Mastering Delayed Gratification. So we see how Jocko's strict discipline builds a framework, but let's look at this scientific research that proves why this actually works inside the human brain. You might already know about the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment led by Walter Mischel. Kids were offered one marshmallow right away or two if they could just sit there and wait a few minutes. Well, researchers tracked these kids for decades. And the result? The kids who could delay their gratification showed significantly higher academic achievement, vastly better health, and lower stress later in life. Neuroimaging actually shows us that resisting temptation activates the prefrontal cortex, your brain's command center for decision-making. You are literally flexing a muscle in your brain when you force yourself to wait. Now, if you struggle with this, absolutely don't panic. Self-control isn't fixed forever. Here are some highly practical cognitive behavioral strategies you can implement right now to strengthen that self-regulation. First, just distract yourself with another activity when an urge hits. You can also use time-based rules. Literally tell yourself you'll wait 20 minutes before indulging. Usually the urge passes. Out of sight is out of mind, so remove temptations from your immediate environment. Another cool trick is shifting your perspective by abstracting the temptation. Mentally picture that donut as just a pile of sugar and fat molecules. And lastly, practice gratitude. Consciously focusing on what you already have dramatically reduces that primitive urgency for immediate short-term rewards. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, Identity-Based Habits. We've talked a lot today about mental toughness, effort, and discipline. But author James Clear offers what is basically the ultimate hack to make all of this hard work completely automatic. Clear describes behavior change kind of like peeling an onion, revealing 3 distinct layers. The outermost layer is changing your outcomes. That's what you get, like finally losing weight or publishing a book. The middle layer is changing your processes. That's what you do, like your daily gym routine. But the third and absolute deepest layer is changing your identity, what you believe about yourself. You see, most people try to change from the outside in, but true, lasting behavior change only happens when you start at the deepest level, your identity. Consider this subtle but completely massive shift in thinking. An outcome-based goal says, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, fine. But an identity-based habit says, I am becoming the type of person who moves more every day. Instead of saying, I want to publish a book, it transforms into, I am the type of person who writes 1,000 words every single day. To change your behavior for good, you have to start by changing your self-image. Focus entirely on the process of being that kind of person, rather than just obsessing over the final result. Which leaves us with one final, profound question for you today. Who do you wish to become? Remember, your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current identity. So if you want to master a winner's mindset, and if you want the total freedom that real discipline provides, you don't just change your goals. You have to change your core beliefs about who you are. So what identity are you going to step into today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously cannot wait to see the champions you all become.